I wonder what brought you here to Mass today. Many people have not joined us again after COVID. It would have been easy for us to stay at home, maybe to watch online or not to bother, to disappear into the COVID cloud. We could be sitting in our back gardens with a lovely lunch in the sunshine. I wonder what brought you here today. I suspect it was God. God calls each and every one of us in a unique way to follow him. We all have our own role to play, our own tasks to fulfill. Of course we have our own weaknesses, our own shortcomings, our own faults, but we have our own strengths, our own gifts and our own talents, and God knows them all. We are not just one face in a crowd when it comes to the Lord. He knows us by name. We hear in our Gospel that we are his sheep. We know his voice. Perhaps this is the hardest parish to preach about the Good Shepherd when we are filled with farmers, farmers' wives and farmland all around us. You know more about sheep than I do. But when I was visiting a monastery down in England, the abbot went into the field and was showing me his party trick, so to speak. And in his field he had a flock of sheep, and he asked me to call the sheep's name. Slightly embarrassed, I laughed, but he says, "No, call the name." So I shouted on his sheep. They took no notice. I shouted again. They took no notice. He asked my friend to do the same. The sheep took no notice. And yet the abbot raised his head, called his sheep's name, and at once that sheep came running, and the rest followed on, its little bell leading the way. That's like the Lord with us. He calls us where we are today. It doesn't come to us as a bolt of lightning or a flash of light, a crash of thunder. The Lord speaks in the silence of our heart. He speaks to us time and time again, just like he had to do with the disciples. He tells us that he told them the first parable they didn't understand. He didn't get angry, he didn't shout at them, he didn't walk away, he didn't leave them to the wolves. He tried again. And I often find that's the case with vocation stories. Many people try to bury their vocation, whether it's to priesthood, religious life, consecrated life, married life, whatever your vocation is. Many people go for years trying to bury that, to hide from it, to run from it. But the Lord constantly asks and asks and asks again. And eventually we have to say yes, because we can't do anything else but listen to our Good Shepherd. The Church asks us today to pray for priests, in particular a vocation to the priesthood, that many more men will hear the Good Shepherd whisper in their heart, and that they will have the courage to recognise his voice and to go to him. But on Good Shepherd Sunday, I always like to remember those priests who have gone before us, those priests from St Isidore's and St Mary Magdalene's and St Mary's Lanark, and all our parishes who have served us so faithfully and so well. Maybe the priests in the parishes you were before Biggar. And I remember them and thank God for their beautiful gift of the priesthood. Of course, just now, numbers feel short with priesthood. We know that only too well with 3 parishes put together. But the Lord will not abandon us. And if we pray from the heart, asking for priests and asking for religious, the Lord will listen. And it's our duty to do that, to pray for the future, not just the here and the now, but for the future of the Church in Biggar, in our country, and beyond. So I encourage you today to pray for vocations to the priesthood. Pray that the Lord may break the hearts of stone, and that he may call men by their name, and that they may recognise him. And pray today for your own vocation in life. The Lord knows you. He knows you by name. Allow him to speak to you in your heart, and recognise the gentle but constant voice of our Good Shepherd.